English.
Mr Speaker, it's a pleasure to close off the budget debate for 2013 because the contentions set forth in the budget by the national-led government remain, I think, intact despite the benefit of 16 or 17 hours of debate here. What's pretty clear as a result of this debate, but also the public debate around the budget, is that the government is on track with its plans, and so New Zealand is on track. As has been pointed out, we're on track to surplus. We're on track to a more competitive economy that is creating more jobs and lifting incomes and can do better. We're on track with better public services, despite a recession and despite considerable efforts to contain expenditure. And we're on track to rebuild Christchurch. In itself, a very substantial task, and if I can acknowledge the enormous effort of the Christchurch community through difficult times, they deserve all of the support, including the $2 billion extra allocated to them in this current budget. And Mr Speaker, the budget is another step in the John Key-led national government's approach to sensible economic policy, and that is to focus on considered and consistent change over time. At no stage has this government overreacted to the pressures of uncertainty in the global economy. We haven't overreacted to the fact that in 1 year we had an $18 billion deficit, 9% of GDP. We've set out to explain the changes we are making, to take considered steps rather than radical steps, and to bring the public along with us, because the most important change in this economy is the change that sticks, the change that is supported by the public. That is what contributes most to our long-term economic prospects. And Mr Speaker, the budget has came at a time when confidence in their economic direction was rising, and I think we can say the budget has helped with that. So while the track to surplus has come to be seen as something of a symbol of whether the economy is on track, and the fact that we could confirm in this budget that we're on track to surplus has helped lift confidence in the economy. Because unlike our opposition parties, we know and we believe that the essential decisions made in the economy are made in households over the kitchen table, and businesses in the smoko room, and organisations who are planning their futures over the next year or so. And what is really important, what's become clearer, is that those people are approaching those tasks now with some optimism. And it's been a while since they've done that. They've shown resilience, they've shown perseverance, and now New Zealanders are starting to enjoy some very well-deserved optimism as they understand that they've become much better at handling economic uncertainty, that there are payoffs for reorganising their households and their businesses in the same way as government's got to go through the same process, and that relative to most other developed country economies, they are in pretty good shape, enjoying moderate and consistently rising incomes, moderate and consistent new job creation, and improving prospects for more of it. And Mr Speaker, through this debate we also learned a bit about the opposition. And if I can characterise this, I think two things stand out in what we've learned about the opposition. The first is that the Greens are leading Labor by the nose. The Greens are leading Labor by the nose because they are more energetic, they've got more initiative, they've got more energy, they've got a sharper, tougher leader, who goes right to the edge of personal abuse, as he did the other day. They're more active, they've got more ideas, and they are deciding the tone of the opposition. And it's not just the public who can see that. We can see it in here pretty much every day. And I'm sure, though, the Greens and hang on, we've also seen the Greens. We've seen the Greens bare their teeth. We've seen them bare their teeth. And what it was a snarl. And it makes it very clear what the tone of that kind of government would be. The snarl, the put down, the personal abuse. That's the style. And we see the subtle versions of it day after day. They make the Labor Party look polite. But I think there's one reason that they're getting pretty snarly is they're getting frustrated with the Labor Party. The Labor Party is in year 5 of opposition. Year 5 of opposition. Now what they are doing is they're blaming David Shearer. Now look, they're blaming David Shearer for the Labor Party being so hopeless. David Shearer has a very hard job. And I know because I've had that job. And I can say that with feeling. But his problem, their problem's not David Shearer. It's the rest of them. He's a reasonable guy who is developing some rapport with the New Zealand public because he's the only face of Labor who's not tainted with the failing Clark government. The only face of Labor. But the rest of the Labor Party is simply lazy because what they thought would happen, this is the little equation in their heads. Recession, National will cut stuff all over the place and government will fall back in our lap. That's what they thought would happen. So they haven't rethought anything in 5 years. They haven't rethought anything in 5 long years. And I've been wrong. And I have to own up to being wrong about Labor. Because I used to say about year 5, opposition start getting a grip. About year 5. And I was wrong. Because they haven't got a grip yet. Mr. Speaker, even in their own corner of the political spectrum, all their voters are working with us on innovative social policy that is starting to have a real impact on long-running complex public policy problems. We are engaged every day in gritty, responsible discussions with people who are starting to wonder why they vote Labor. So, Mr. Speaker, if they can't get their own supporters criticising the government, because they don't, they work with us, then they've got no hope of getting the wider public to oppose this government. Mr. Speaker, we're proud of this as part of a series of 5 budgets that has helped New Zealand dig out of a hole that was a big, deep hole, the product of a worldwide recession and the failures of the previous Labor government who drove us into recession before the financial crisis, and we can reason, and we in that context have supported the most vulnerable New Zealanders when they most needed it, and can now, if we stick to this path, offer not just the most vulnerable, but every New Zealander, the prospect of a better job, the prospect of a better income, the prospect of a country with a sense of direction, the prospect of a New Zealand growing faster than Australia, the prospect of a New Zealand that can build a brighter future on the huge opportunities across the Asia Pacific, Mr. Speaker. We've only just begun.
Order. Order. The question is that the amendment in the name of the Leader of the Opposition be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The noes have it. The noes have it. A party vote is called for. I ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes opposed.
New Zealand Labour.
32 votes in favour.
Green Party.
12 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
2 votes opposed.
Mana.
1 vote in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 vote opposed.
United Future.
1 vote opposed.
Brendan Horan.
1 vote in favour.
Any other votes?
A point of order. Asaneti Lola Taylor.
Thank you. I would like to correct the votes of the New Zealand First. 7 votes in favour.
Would the clerk please note that correction? Order. The ayes are 53, the noes are 63. The amendment is not agreed to. Point of order, Honourable David Parker.
I didn't take this point of order during the vote, sir. How can Mr Dunn vote as a party when his party has been deregistered? I don't object to Mr Dunn voting, but I can't see how he can vote as the United Future Party when that party has been deregistered at law.
Order. The member will recall that I gave a ruling earlier today. The member is welcome to have another look at that, but at this stage I am continuing to recognise the United Future as a party here in this House. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The ayes have it. A party vote is called for. I ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
32 votes opposed.
Green Party.
12 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Māori Party.
2 votes in favour.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 vote opposed.
Any other votes?
The ayes are 63, the noes are 53. The motion is agreed to.
Appropriation 2013-14 Estimates Bill, second reading.
Point of order, the Honourable David.
I seek leave to table the decision of the Electoral Commission that United Future is no longer a political party at law.
Leave is sought for that course of action. Is there any objection? There is no objection. It can be so tabled. The bill is set down for committee stage next sitting day. I call on Government Order of the Day number 2.
Interrupted debate on the first reading.